and Rare Vinyl, number 251. That car started by Jack Constable, former TCR UK race winner. Jack Constable, Janetta racer, he's done Radicals as well, I think, in the past. Then we've got Not Fast, Extremely Furious, the team name, and perhaps a description of the drivers. In fact, looking at the driver lineup, yes, I'd say that's fair. John Perrott, Steve Harris, and Vikram Sadira. It's John Perrott starting that car from 13th on the grid. Team Ratters Racing, they've gone well this year. David Ratcliffe starts 155 from 14th. And we are only half of Ian Logie and Phil Keane. Jake Hill and Charlie Hart, Nick Hopkinson and Harry George are all gunning for over the course of the next hour. It must be this race. It can't be the race later on. It's got to be in their first race if they can get on the podium. Indeed, there's money going their way. The big prize is for the race win. Here we go then, 2x2, up and over Dearsley. Pole position for the number 41 car, the FNS Morpheus M Sport machine, alongside Fueled Up Racing. Title contenders both very deep in the field. Lights out, away they go. The rush towards Old Hall Corner begins, and immediately it is the pole-sitting car, the number 41, that will hold the advantage into the first corner. And behind them on the grass up the inside was the 110, I think that was, wasn't it? Jake Hill taking to the curb on the inside line, immediately getting his elbows out as he tries to march his way towards the front of the field. All of them, by the looks of it, cleanly through Old Hall Corner though, and they arrive down at Cascades with immediately a battle on for the race lead. Jake Hill, that is, up into third place. I think EDF in fourth, trying to pick out some of the title contenders. Uvio look like they're getting a slightly better rub of the green through the traffic, maybe putting a few cars between themselves and Olympian GRD for now. But Richard John Neal, they're all through the first few corners safely, and immediately drivers getting their elbows out trying to move forwards.
Yeah, I think that was what Simon Rudd was looking for, wasn't it? It seemed to be not circumspect, but in my mind doing what I would do, just looking for space, keeping it as safe as possible. The Uvio Hoffman car maybe a little bit more adventurous because they are those few points behind and they want to get up as quickly as they can, and it is only the hour race, so there is very limited time, isn't there, to get through the biggest field of the season.
Indeed, so biggest grid since 2018, is this, Richard, which is found. And in fact, the Donington race last time, where we had 27, was the biggest grid since 2018. We've now got a match to the biggest grid since then. So yes, really great to see the strength of the championship right now, and so many people wanting to come and race in Fun Cup. Leaders then through Hislops and Knickerbrook for the first time. Pole sitting car still maintaining the lead then for now, so that is Harry Bailey. You'd expect that. There were, okay, the championship contenders, Richard, they were deep in the field, but at the front of the field, you had some serious talent, actually. Harry Mailer, Johnny Molan, Jake Hill, Anthony Reid was up there as well, so there is some real great talent towards the front of the grid, and those are the drivers now who want to try and get away before that first pit stop window.
So who did Jake or Jake's dad bun to get row 3? Because that's not bad, is it?
And he's going for second, in fact, now, isn't he, looking to lodge, although backs out of it. Greenheath are on the grass in the background, trying to make a move, but there is the 110 car, started by this year's British Touring Car champion Jake Hill. As I said, a winner here at Oulton Park in his BMW several months ago, and he is third at the end of the opening lap, the best place of those looking for the £10,000 prize. It is FNS M Sport that lead the way, Red River Sport second, Morpheus third, Morpheus fourth. It's the 109 car in fourth position. That is the Chris Hart car. Now remember, his son Charlie is teammates to Jake Hill in the 110. That could be an interesting battle a little bit later on in the race. Greenheath come through fifth, EDF's 104 car is sixth, then Rare Vinyl, GMR Eco, Axiometrics and Ratters Racing complete the top 10. What of the title contenders? Well, Uvio Hoffman's Motorsport are 14th, Olympian GRD 18th, as we get a challenge for the lead, Richard, but both of those two title contenders moving forwards.
Yeah, significant progress from them. The thing about Jake Hill, of course, as well, is that Jake can drive absolutely anything quickly, literally anything.
Yes, and he's driving pretty quickly now because he's around the outside of Johnny Molan. That's not usually an easy thing to do. He might be into second place, is he? Struggling a bit with some condensation on the cameras. This was the part of the circuit worst affected by the fog this morning. I tell you what, I spoke to Jake Hill this morning. He was enjoying himself, really enjoying himself, but he didn't sound super confident. He said, well, to be honest with you, Charlie's faster than me at the moment. If Charlie is faster than Jake, and Jake is now knocking on the door of the race lead, Paul Rose may well be getting a bit nervous.
Yeah, going to be getting wallet itch, I think, or something similar to that. Yeah, well placed. And you know, the other thing is that they're going to be super quick at the changeovers as well.
Yes, you can imagine they've been practicing that, although Jake said actually the first time he got in the car was yesterday, so he maybe hasn't done a huge amount of pit stop practice.
He'll have done in and out of other cars,
of course,
getting in training, because he's super serious. This is where he had his first win, but it was taken away, wasn't it, in touring cars?
That's right,
when,
yes.
Didn't he tag Matt Neal or something?
In the Honda, yes.
Matt was very rude and nasty afterwards, remember that well.
No rudeness here, that's for sure. No. This is much friendlier.
It's fun.
It is fun, yes. Clue is in the name, as we always say. Leaders then arriving down at Lodge Corner, still leading the race, Harry Mailer. Jake Hill is not going to have an easy time getting past him, that's for sure. Then Johnny Molan third, Chris Hart in fourth. Who's in the Greenheath car, fifth position? That is Gary Bate at the moment. He's sort of in no man's land, really, in fifth place. Then comes a brilliant battle for sixth going on just behind them, which sees the likes of the 104 EDF car in it, slipping backwards slightly, actually, as the lead group goes through Old Hall Corner. The championship contenders, by the way, Uvio moving forwards. I don't think Olympian GRD gained too much ground on that lap, so there are now a few more cars between them. I'm not even going to touch the point spreadsheet just yet because positions are changing by the corner. We'll maybe wait until that first pit stop window is out of the way and then take a look at what it all means for the championship. But right now, it is advantage Uvio.
Yeah, they've got the upper hand. It's only 2 points per place, isn't it? So yes, you can probably do the maths. It sells you home if you want to try and work out who is where. Ninky Nonk's got fastest lap at the moment. So early doors, of course, for that. Pit stop window would be, let me see, hour race, done my homework. 2 stops, between 20 and 30, 40 and 50.
Yes, that sounds about right, yes. And oh, now that's drama. That's the 97 off the road. That is Adam Fawcett, I'm afraid, who's off at Old Hall Corner on his own, I think. And I don't think he's made contact with the barrier, so I think that car may have just stalled. Oh, in fact, it's in the new for 2024 gravel trap. Which, to be fair, when they announced that, when they revealed that they put that gravel trap there at the start of the year, I thought it was going to have a lot more visitors over the course of the season than it has done. That's, I think, the first car I've seen stuck in that gravel trap.
I thought it was going to facilitate rollovers there, and I had visions of red flags at token meetings and things like that. But to be fair, it hasn't.
Wasn't too bad, no. So, and it has stopped. It's done its job because it stopped Adam Fawcett's car before it made the barrier, which is exactly the reason for putting the gravel trap there. So what do we know, hey? Anyway, that car is stuck, which means we go safety car, and this is not a rare occurrence here at Oulton Park. You'll be shocked to hear, because there really isn't anywhere to go. If you go off the road, it's grass, it's gravel, it's barrier. There's a very good chance that your car will need recovery, and that is the case for the 97 car. So the safety car is out, and the race about to resume then. The Jaguar safety car peels into the pit lane. The 97 car's going to be joined right in front of the pack as they restart the race. That can only end well. Over Deersley they will come then, and the race gets back underway, and absolutely neck and neck between the leaders. In fact, Jake Hill pushing the race leader, Harry Mailer, down into Old Hall Corner. Jake Hill goes to the outside line. He's going to go right round the outside. That's not quite going to work, but he will cut back on the exit, try and get the run down the avenue, and maybe make a move into Cascades Corner. That's the School Club car, which is missing that bit of splitter, which I'd spotted, the 22. Jake Hill for the lead. He's on the outside again into Cascades Corner. He is late on the brakes, carries the speed through, and the current British Touring Car champion is the race leader with Richard. A fabulous move around the outside.
Brilliant stuff from Jake Hill. You saw the intent as they went across the line. They were so close. The proverbial cigarette paper couldn't have gone through. Battle on for second as well.
That was contact, I think, there. Johnny Molan trying to squeeze up the inside of Harry Mailer, who was having none of it, and in the end Johnny had to back out of it. But this is feisty stuff, and this is exactly what some of those championship contenders were worried about. The team's coming into this with nothing to lose. They just want to win, and they are probably willing to take a few more risks than some of the regular championship contenders would be. But Jake Hill, it was a clean move, it was a great move. He showed his experience, really. You forget what an experienced racer Jake Hill is, really, despite his relatively young age, and he leads them over hilltop. I would say, actually, those top two, Richard, starting to get away slightly.
Yeah, and I will point out that Jake's got history of winning races when his dad's not here. I'm not saying Simon should stay away, but his first win in Ginetta Junior, I think it was Ginetta Junior, was at Croft when Simon, his dad, was away working at Le Mans. And I remember pinging Simon, as I always do when Jake has a success, did when he literally, as he crossed the line for the BTCC fight, although he had so many messages, he didn't get to read it until the following day,
really?
Even though it was as they went across the line. But yeah, Simon couldn't make it today, but I think he'll probably be watching on the stream. So.
Well, we'll be liking what he's seeing at the moment. His son out in front. Johnny Molan, all of a sudden, his pace seems to have deserted him. He had that little go at Harry Mailer into Ireland, and now has dropped back, in fact, into the clutches, really, of Chris Hart, who is at the inside now for third position as they round Lodge Corner. Is that going to be a change? Not quite. The grip in the damper conditions is still on the outside line, really, so through will go, just ahead, stay, I should say, car number 200. The leaders, though, absolutely nose to tail into Old Hall Corner, but it doesn't look to me as though Harry Mailer is necessarily on the attack. I think for now he's content to work with Jake Hill to get away from this ever-increasing battle for third place.
Yeah, not a bad thing, is it? Any tracker car? Another safety car, maybe?
That's the School Club car. 97 picking its way through, I think unrelated this time. But yes, the School Club car in the middle of the road. under the Paul Warwick Bridge. That's an odd place to end up.
It is, and look what the marshals are doing. They just get on with the job, run across the track, trying to sort things out. A little bit more drafting going on here. I think Jake's was bump, the bump variety. That probably wasn't that we were just looking at.
Safety car
again. This is going to run into the pit stop window, isn't it?
Yes, 100%, because we're only a couple of minutes away from that now. Remember, they must pass the pit lane open board once, which is held out over the starting gantry. The pit window, oh, I see a red flag. A red flag being waved. It's a shame, but actually I'm not against this idea because it means we're not wasting time. They've obviously realised this is going to take a bit of time. There could be some barrier damage that needs repairing. So rather than wasting the entire race behind the safety car, stop it, get it fixed, get the race restarted, and we should still get half an hour, 40 minutes of running. Two different races going on at once here, really. Those pitting, those not. They'll all have to pit within the next 10 minutes, but 5 minutes really now before the window closes. When they choose to do it, we'll have to wait and see. Morpheus, they're going very slowly on the restart.
Not helping the guys trying to come through the field, is it, this one?
No, that's interesting, and they're still going quite slowly actually towards the pit lane. So into the pit lane have come both of the both of the leaders. Certainly we've got, yes, Harry Mailer and Jake Hill are in, overtaking the 97 car in the pit lane. So there is Jake Hill to hand over to Charlie Hart. Harry Mailer will be handing over to Chris Walton, and Adam Fawcett in as well, after what was a dramatic opening stint for him. Who carried on is the question. Well, Red River Sport carried on. Johnny Rowland now leads the race. Rare Vinyl are going to be up into second place, the 251 car. That is Rob Croydon, the car he shares with multiple former Fun Cup race winner Peter Belchaw. And there the Greenleaf car is in. This was always the concern, wasn't it, about pitting now. Uvio are gone already, Richard. Uvio going out right behind the 110 car.
Yeah, they were the first to move,
wow.
But cracking changeover for Jake and Charlie as well. So I'll tell you what, it was, but not as quick as Uvio Hoffman.
Interestingly, Olympian GRD have stayed out, so a split of strategy between the title contenders. That could be interesting, couldn't it? But I think, in hindsight, actually, because so many people came in, it was such a mess in the pit lane. You could so easily have got locked in, stuck, delayed. Maybe it was better to stay out another lap. I think if you were at front of the queue, it was fine. So that worked out well for the 110 squad. But for those further back, and of course Olympian were that bit further back than Uvio, they could assess the situation, see what everyone else did. As the rest of them dive in the pit lane, they've decided to stay out. This then is the race amongst those that haven't yet stopped, heading down through Hislop's Nick Brook. Ratters racing there ahead of the 195, which remember started from the back of the field. And the back of that group, the black, white and blue car, that is your championship leading car, Olympian GRD. Having stayed out this long, Richard, do you think they'll stay out right to the end of the window, or will they be in this time?
Who's going in next? Is it Riley next?
Chris next. So they may extend.
They might do, yeah.
Maybe.
As, Simon Rudd and Simon and Riley generally regarded as the faster drivers of the trio, so you'd expect them to get more time.
Yes, I suspect that's probably right. This, by the way, is a battle for second place, I believe. So the race leader is Johnny Bolton. He's continuing on. Olympian GRD are staying out. Interestingly, the 195 coming in, though. So the Dinky Nonk car, Ted Bradbury, rapid Ted Bradbury, set to get into that car now. They come in. They came in with somebody else, 221 that was, which is the School Club Racing car. Jack Hopkins to hand over to Russell Joyce. That's the car that sustained that little bit of damage early on. PLR Racing are in as well. Neil Plymmer had to go over to Ben Pitch, but still quite a few of them out on track. That 195 car, by the way, being serviced by Ali Bray, AB Motorsport are here helping run that car.
I saw the AB livery in the...
Yes.
And he announced last week he's coming back to Mark 1s.
Yes, now that will be interesting. That championship's going to be one to watch next year, because I think most of this year's frontrunners are probably sticking around, and then we're getting a whole host of other potential champions as well. So very interesting indeed. Right then, there is Charlie Hart. Is he ahead of all of the cars that were in that second wave of pit stoppers? I think he was, but massive gain here for Uvio Hoffman's Motorsport. Not really sure how they did that, Richard, but that could prove hugely beneficial when all is said and done in this race.
You can practice the starts all you want, but there's no substitute for experience, and those guys just have that down to a T, don't they? Every time I've seen them go.
Yeah, and so good in the pit lane. I mean, like, they rarely lose time. Although, again, chatted to Fabulous Randaccio this morning, he said actually they've been a bit disappointed with their pit stops this year. They said that's been letting them down a little bit, and they've been a little bit slower than normal. So clearly they've been brushing up on that before this final round.
It's one of the key things. I mean, I've been talking over the years to a lot of people about that want to come into this either as a one-off to have a go at the bounty or whatever. And I've said, and they all say, it's not the driving, it's the strategy and the stops, and included in that the practicalities of getting in and out as smoothly, as quickly as you can.
Indeed so. Charlie Hart there vigorously navigating.
Charlie's first senior race as well.
Yes, it will be.
Is it?
Yeah, I believe so.
Have we done anything else in the meantime?
I don't think he has. I've not seen him pop up on an entry list anywhere else. No, get the shaking the head from Scotland list as well. So no, I don't think. I think this is his first senior race, and well, could be a very, very profitable one, couldn't it? If things continue the way they're going, he will be the net leader at the moment. Johnny Molan, by the way, has just pitted the Red River Sport car, so he's handing over to Gareth Williams, and should be overtaken by these three. Because look, the Minky Knock car is there as well now, the 195, so that's also made some big gains during that pit stop.
They have, haven't they? We can expect that, and that one has come right the way through from the back of the field. So yes, we're looking at potentially our post pit stop podium.
Yeah, easy for you to say. Oh, now this for the lead, essentially, the net lead. Charlie Hart up alongside the Red River Sport
net
car.
Lead, that's what I was looking for.
There you go.
So much easier, thank you, Anne.
And up the inside goes Charlie Hart. Oh, that's the wetter side of the road, but he gets the car stopped, and at part of the circuit where his teammate took the lead earlier on, he has moved essentially into the lead of the race, depending on what others do in the pit stops though, because the Olympian GRD car did briefly hold the fastest lap on the previous lap, so they're in clean air, they're continuing to circulate, remember, they owe us a pit stop, but they are going very quickly. There's every chance they could gain some ground out of all of this as the UVO car goes up the inside ahead of Red River Sport into Shell.
Very neat move. I was going to say, Charlie Hart won't be worried about little nip and tuck moves, will he, having come from Ginetta Junior?
No.
Great training ground for that. And he's away, but yeah, this is panning out superb, isn't it?
Charlie, blimey, that car won't last the hour if you keep hammering the curves like that. That was a very aggressive run through the chicane. Here comes the Ted Bradbury machine to challenge Red River Sport as well and move into what we anticipate will be about third place once the pit stops are done. He looks at the inside and couldn't quite commit and wanted to get that move made as soon as possible because these two are getting away, Charlie Hart and Fabulous Randaccio. Interesting to see what Fabulous's pace is now that he's up there near the front, and how aggressive will he be with Charlie Hart. Charlie wants to win because he wants the 10 grand, but really UVO need the points, so this could be a really tasty battle. Yeah,
another 2 points, isn't it, if you can get in front, plus the single point fastest lap as well. So all of that is going to come into play for our 3-hour race a little bit later on.
And UVO have that fastest lap at the moment. Now as the road dries it may get quicker, but at the moment they've got that bonus point too.
So giving chase, 3 more stoppers.
Ratters racing down to 251. Rare Vinyl. Peter Belshaw about to get back in now. When did Peter Belshaw last do a Fun Cup race? It's been a few years, I think. For many a year, he paired up with Marcus Cluck in the Sheridan's car, and they had a number of wins. That was the same car, actually. It was the 251 car, as Charlie Hart is wide at Old Hall Corner. Nearly threw it all away. Here comes Randaccio, though, alongside, and off in the background was the Red River Sport car, by the way. But we've had a change. Through has gone the UVO Hoffman Motorsport car, and it was a mistake in the end from Charlie Hart that opened the door.
It was. He's going to have to tame that down. That's potentially the 10K slipping away. Just, and it could be that close at the end of the day. So we've got a race on. Good for us though, brilliant for us to watch. And in typical
Old Hall Corner though, let's see what happens as they get down into Cascades. There is Bradbury, side by side for second. Randaccio needs the points, needs the position, but doesn't want to take the risk on the wet side of the road and slots back into third.
There's just a difference in the styles, isn't there? You can see the old stages, if we could call them that without offence, you know, just there and waiting and not wanting to be too rash. And then you've got the 2 young guns up front battling hard. I'm not saying that Fabulous isn't battling, but to me you can just see he step back, he'll go back into it and make the move when he can, and probably thinking actually pit stop strategy will most likely pay as well.
Exactly so, but he really wants to make hay in this stint because he is quicker than Chris Devell in the Olympian GRD car. He really wants to try and maximise this stint, knowing the Olympian are likely maybe to start losing some places. They have been caught by the Mate Club with EDF car and Ratters Racing at the beginning of the lap, I noticed, so there's now a chance Olympian may start to lose some positions. Really, UVO needs to be gaining those positions, but he's struggling to get past these two. because they're very much having a race of their own. And this is, again, very much this was the common feeling amongst the title contenders this morning. They know they need to get good results, but they're really, in this first race particularly, they're really going to have to fight for it, because there are so many of these teams who know this is their chance to win that prize money, and they are going to leave nothing on the table. Even if they are fighting against a team going for the championship. Out of Druids they go, approaching pit window time, Richard. We are nearly 2/3 of the way through the race, and well, the timing, these three have calmed down, which is good, gives us a chance to catch our breath.
They have calmed down. I'm wondering whether the Uvio car, if they think they're stuck behind these two, will pit early.
Quite possible, quite possible. Get out of the
But it means that
battle.
Fabulous hasn't had very much track time. That's the only thing.
I don't think he'll care too much, to be honest. New fastest lap for the race leaders. So Ted Bradbury, of course, this is the other thing. Lots of quick drivers that could go and set the fastest lap in these races. Potentially, yeah.
Rather than just throw them out of the way, which they normally do.
That's true, yeah. So 97 has been in after that spin. A fairly sort of slow trickling of cars into the pit lane. Greenheath have just pitted. They were in the top 10. 8th place they pit from. So that is Paul Turner to hand back over to Gary Bate, who started the race. Olympian GRD have just gone through as well. Look at this mess down at Cascades. That's the 155 car on the inside. This has been a good battle, hasn't it? Between 155, 257, and PLR. That PLR racing just behind them now, actually. So they've lost half place. They were ahead of HLR, weren't they, a couple of laps ago?
Yes, you're right. Yes, they have.
Now losing more time in traffic as well. So Ben Pitch will be getting a bit frustrated maybe in that. 251 have just pitted as well. That's Peter Belshaw's return stint done again.
Got to be this time.
Pit window closed board is out. Yeah, so
they can go round again and see it closed, so they can come in at the end of that.
Yes, I'm not sure whether it was already closed when they came through last time. Possibly not. We'll find out, I suppose, at the end of this lap whether or not they come in. I did notice that Bradbury was having a slightly better run through the traffic than the Morpheus car behind. Stop and go penalties, 157 and 41. 157 is GMR Eco, Reece Mitchell and Will Antrobus, and the other one, 41, is, that's Harry Baylor. It's not Harry Baylor, that's Chris Monton in the car he shares with Harry Baylor. That car led early on, didn't it? It's, where are they now? 41. They've dropped right down the order, haven't they, for some reason? 16th place at the moment. They were leading at the start of the race, and they're well down the order. Now looking for the stop-go penalty. Again, you have to achieve track limits.
How worried are we, or Fun Cup worried about the 10 grand at the moment, do you think?
I'd say reasonably worried. Reasonably worried, because we know that Charlie Hart's going to go for this, right? He's not going to let the 195 or indeed Uvio win the race, although Uvio look less of a factor now, aren't they? But yeah, I'd say Paul's getting a little bit jittery, that's for sure. Leaders Racing come in, by the way. That was the noise you heard in the background. The leaders have been back through, by the way, so they must have not seen the pit lane closed board just yet. But they'll be in this time, and a lot of them will be in this time. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them, I think, yet to stop. And the top 6 all yet to stop at the moment.
Keeping us waiting at the minute.
Sort of pace as Riley Phillips had, by the way, when he's doing 2:01. It was 2:01.2 last time. That's actually quite a bit slower than the leader last time around. Riley may be in traffic, of course, but not actually going quite as quickly as I expected.
Their stop's done. It's going to be interesting to see where.
Second, Paul Rose is going to be a very, very happy man, I'm sure. I mean, there's a part of him would have liked them to have done it. I think there's a bigger part of him that's quite glad they're not going to.
And if you put a youngster, a hot shoe out of juniors and the reigning British Touring Car champion in a car, and they can't win it, second place.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, what, you know,
and in fairness, they'll still take home some money for second.
Will,
it's the podium finishes. It's not 10 grand, but they'll take some money home. Anyway, we'll get to that in a moment, because it's going to be a second win in a row here for Ted Bradbury in the 195 car that he shares with Neil Burrows. Checkered flag waves, and it is a victory for the Dinky Donk. And in second position, it is going to be oh so near but oh so far for Morpheus. Jake Hill and Charlie Hart second on their debut, and I'm sure they both really enjoyed that, particularly the battling in the first half of the race. Third place for Uvio Hoffman's Motorsports, that's solid points in the championship for Uvio. They will score 66 points for that, but it looks like they're only going to outscore their rivals by 2 points, because here come the championship leaders, Olympian GRD to the line, and it's fourth position, it's 2 points lost, it's 10 points between them now, going into the final race later on. And just to double check something, yep, they have not won it yet, that's for sure. They can still be beaten by Uvio Hoffman's Motorsport in that race later on today. The championship will go down to the wire. 3 hours left to settle it later on this afternoon. A brilliant race. It certainly provided us plenty of drama with the 2 safety cars, a red flag, lots of strategic intrigue.